think the McAleer and Lewis substitutions were obvious. They were both having poor games. So I think that was really clear. Hawkes, yeah, I'm not so sure about. He put himself about in the first half. Didn't really create anything. So I think he was a bit unlucky. I think bringing Dennis on was just to change things up a bit and have a bit of a different approach in that sort of midfield area. Like I say, he played sort of behind the front too. So I think it's a positive that he's happy to make those kind of changes when it's quite clear that something needs to happen. I think the game was a very poor game in the first half. Both sides were poor. We were very poor. And I think he realised that it needed to be some significant change to get the best out of what we could in the second half. And I know, Mickey was always condoned for not making substitutions and not making changes when things weren't going well. So I think it is a positive that he's able to do that. I definitely go with you on the Mike Jackson. I remember Mike Jackson making changes after half an hour at the start of that season, 2 or 3 subs, sometimes in the first half. But I don't think it was a case of we've got the tactics completely wrong. It seemed it was more for me. There was a couple of players that just were having very poor games and it needed to be a change. So I'm definitely in the positive way that he's happy to make quite significant changes. To make 3 at half time, you get 5 these days, which is a lot, but to make 3 at half time does kind of limit your options going into the second half. But I think it proved to be a really strong decision and definitely changed the game in our favour. So yeah, I think it's good that he's happy to do that and he's prepared to do that, to take that risk.
One of the players who did come on, I've just noticed on Tranmere's Twitter feed, has been voted the player of the match from a Tranmere point of view in Connor Jennings. I mean, when you lose a game and one of your forwards is still winning man of the match, that's an odd scenario. Even odder when that player comes on at half time. It's not a ringing endorsement for the 8 players who played the 90 minutes, or the 7 players who played the 90 minutes.
No, it's not. I think Jennings. I think he's got better. I was stood with a couple of friends in the crowd, and I think he's got better. We both said that, that he seems to have improved in the time that he's been away, which, I don't think many of us thought he could do. Maybe we thought he was on a bit of a downward trend. But yeah, he was all over the place. He was always in space, always looking for the ball. Had some great vision to put some great passes through. I think he just really stood out in that second half as somebody who was really changing the game for us, and I think probably that's what tilted sort of man of the match in his favour. I think, other than, like you say, the likes of McAleer and Lewis, who were having poor games, I think everybody put in a performance, particularly in that second half. But he was the one that really stood out, just because he seemed to be really moving the team forward. Could have easily had a goal with a great header that he just put wide. But yeah, it does seem odd, doesn't it, sometimes when you get sort of man of the match when he plays half a game. But he really did sort of change the flow of the game for us and really brought us back into the match.
From what you've seen so far, then, what's the best way to get all these forwards into the game and into the starting 11? Obviously, if we look at that starting 11 from yesterday, Sam Taylor, who scored in midweek, is on the bench. Jennings, who started the first game, is on the bench. And Christian Dennis, who started in midweek, is on the bench. That means you've got Saunders and Hawkes and Norris in starting roles, and Hemmings isn't even in the squad at all, and neither, of course, is Charlie Jolly. So what, in your opinion, is the best way to get the most out of the plethora of attacking options that Tranmere have at their disposal?
It's a tough one, because I think in the game so far this season, they've all shown glimpses. Like, Sam Taylor was tremendous on Tuesday night, and he was great when he came on yesterday. I think we're going to be that team this season that will make changes after 60 minutes, 70 minutes, just to freshen things up and just to change things around, because we have got so many options on the bench. It's a difficult one to try and fit them all in. I was interested to see Dennis sort of playing just in behind, whether, he's a box goal scorer, isn't he? He's that fox in the box, as people say, and whether him sitting off just off a front two is a great place because he can make late runs and won't necessarily be picked up by the centre half, or if the midfielder doesn't track back, then he's got space in there. So I'm interested to see if that becomes something. But then you've got likes of Jennings, Morris, Hawks who can also play in that position. So I think it's going to be a real challenge to get the and you might not see it a settled sort of formation of players who will play every week, because I think there is going to be some mix and matching of players in that front end of the pitch, because I just think there are so many options and they all bring something slightly different. Like Luke Norris, I thought was tremendous yesterday. He's definitely that kind of forward who we've missed. He's not prepared to put himself about. He lets the centre halves know he's there, create space for other players. So I think he may be that one constant who's going to be that focal point, and then you're going to have the likes of Dennis, Taylor, Jennings, who will kind of move around that. And like I said, I think you'll see games where we will make changes after half an hour, 70 minutes, just to change it, just to freshen things up and bring players in. Maybe not change the formation, but just have somebody else in there who brings something slightly different.